Welcome aboard, everybody. We're checking out the new Vulcan from JustFlight. Absolutely fantastic aircraft to start off. It's definitely a very highly detailed aircraft, as you can see here. We're gonna do a quick walk around, but we're also gonna go through and do some stats of this thing. This thing, the level of detail JustFlight put in this thing is just astounding. I am completely thrown back on how the level of detail. Now, this aircraft was designed or built back in the 1950s. It was built it was in production during from 1956 to 1965. Only 136 of these were built, and it continued to be in service all the way up until the mid 1980s. And then they were decided to retire the fleet. It has a service ceiling of 65,000 feet, which in the manual from JustFlight, they do have in there it can go up to 65,000. I'm sure that is also barring any weight reductions and all that kind of stuff to get it that high, but it can get there. Let's see. Max takeoff weight. This thing can take off with a max weight of a quarter million pounds. But empty, this thing weighs 83,573 pounds. It has a range of approximately 4,000 nautical miles. And that's about 4,600 miles. And the max speed of this thing is 560 knots, and that's 644 miles an hour. It is powered by 4 turbojet engines, Bristol Siddeley Olympus 301s. This one we're in today is the 201, it gives you the iconic howl, which when I first heard it, I was like, that's kind of crazy. I actually had to look up on why it does the howl, and it has to do with the intakes. The intakes are so narrow it causes the howl. That's how I read it. But it's definitely a fun aircraft. I love this thing. I believe it was $36.99. I believe is the cost. But I think it's worth it though. It's worth the money for it. It's very highly detailed, and it's just $32.99. I correct myself at $32.99. That's American dollars. It's USD. So, let's go ahead and get in here and start her up. But let's look at the dials real fast. The dials, they're very weathered, which is perfect. Nothing digital besides the tablet, the EFB, which I will go over more of that later. All switches you can manipulate. Everything's manipulated. It's very, very detailed. Hence why I say $32.99 is actually pretty cheap. All right, let's get into the tablet real fast. So as you can see, there's what you can put in here. You can put your blue steels, which I believe are I don't remember what that is, but I know one of these. I believe the blue steel is a nuke. A Mark 13 bomb, I believe, is not a nuclear device. It is. Mark 13 is a nuke. And then you have your Whiskey Echo 1177. It's a tactical and strategic nuclear weapon. You have your MRR pods, saddle tanks. These are all your additional like fuel tanks. Not all these I know. Like blue steel, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look that up right at the moment. Should have had that all set up, but it's all good. Okay, that's also a nuke. The blue steel was a British air-launched rocket-propelled nuclear-armed standoff missile. Okay, so you have your first three here are your nukes. Then you have your MRR pod, which is, well, we won't go into that. It's not really gonna tell me much. Anyways, like a little last second look up. Anyways, you have where you can switch from your pilots, where you can go additional panels that they don't have modeled in. This right here, the AEO would be at the back of the plane, or behind you. It's not modeled, so it's like another pan. It basically just goes into another screen. Hopefully one day, maybe in an update, they'll have that model. Same with the navigation, that does the same thing. But there you go, hit the button right here, like you would do on a iPad. Then you have your OFP, which you can get your flight plan from SimBrief. So, with that being said, this plane is going to be added into the arsenal of other planes I have that I do for my live streams. I do live stream of flights, so if anyone is interested in seeing that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I try to do live streams on the weekends. Some special nights on the weekdays, I'll end up doing some stuff. It just depends on my schedule. Lately, I've been pretty busy. But yeah, we'll do live streams with this one for sure, it looks like. You have your map on where you're at. Takes a little bit to load up. You put Navi charts in here. You can put Navigraph. And use that for your approaches and stuff like that. I mean, this thing is pretty loaded. You can write notes using your keyboard, which is, I think, is pretty cool. Checklist. This is the entire checklist on starting the plane up. TOD calculator to calculate your target altitude, your angles, and some other stuff. I have to mess around with that a little bit more, figure out how to use it. And then your settings, just your normal stuff. Let's come back here. So we are going to go to we're going to go ahead and start this thing up. Yeah, if you actually click on this, it actually will put it down like on your lap or up on the dashboard, essentially, on the cockpit dash. Let's go ahead and click on the AEO. So the AAPP, think of it as your APU. It's not really actually your APU, but it is pretty daggone close. Also, fair warning, I've done research. I haven't seen anyone mention this before. There is a specific setting you need to be able to utilize this. Because before, when I've tried it, none of these switches I could flip. I could not do anything with the switches at all. So the thing you need to do is go into your menu, go to General Options, go to Accessibility. Your cockpit interaction systems needs to be on Legacy. To be able to work the navigations and the AEO, or whatever that panel was, AEO, whichever, you need to have it on Legacy to be able to use it. So once that's done, you can start using it. So we're going to turn on the battery isolation. We're going to turn on the battery. Oops. We're at 20 volts, which is perfect. LP cock is open. Master switch is on. Turn on your AAPP. Or, like I said, your AP is essentially an APU. You will wait till it actually stabilizes at about 700 degrees Celsius. And this stabilizes just under 10 PSI. I'm sure that's actually more, but oh well. And then what I normally do is turn on the AAPP. So we'll get in a little bit more with that. Bring this back up. Go back to first cockpit. So, next thing you need to do. There are switches that are underneath here. Let me readjust. There are switches under here. You need to flip these on to be able to start your engines. I believe those that has to do with your the fuel. Then you come over here. So also, before you want to do anything else, this is your oxygen release, so you can get air into the cabin when you're in altitude. So you just turn that on now. The next thing is you want to come over here, flip this, pull this thing all the way over to the left. And then what I normally do, we want to open all of your engine air. Doing that, you come back over here. Here's your ignition and then your master ignition. We're going to do a rapid start. So all engines will start simultaneously. Think of it as a rapid start for, say if you're called up for a mission and you need to get in the air like in just minutes. This is what they do. It would be a basically a forced injected start to the engine, other than, because right now if we hit normal, we're on normal, this would just you be able to start individual engines. But this, we're going to do rapid. I believe everything. Oh, and also before you actually start the engine, you get it prepped and ready right there. Come back over here. Click on these levers. Bring it up out of the shut sequence or shut mode, so it's actually getting fuel. Then come back over here. And then you hit that button. All 4 engines are starting now. Let's come out here and listen to it. Also, you want to bring your engines up to 50% power. Should be 50%. Yeah, right there. So once you're happy, you can bring them back down to idle. Also, you saw that I turned my lights on, or I saw the lights come on as soon as the engines come on. That was not due to the engines. I have a button on my joystick that it basically turns on all the lights. But really, if you want to turn your lights on in the cabin or for everything, or if you're outside, they are located right here. Landing port, landing lights, strobe lights, all right here. And then also your lights right down here are involved with this. And also these. You also get red light down here too, which I think was pretty cool. Red light is for at night, so that enemy can't. The red lights are actually designed so that they can't get a depth perception or a good lock on your distance. It really fools the enemy on how close you are, essentially. All right. So next thing is we're gonna go back to the AEO. Turn on the alternators. And if I'm trying to remember what else was there. Also, that was another thing I was going to mention. So, the AAPP is to be used when climbing. So if you're under 5,000 feet, the AAPP should be still on. Once you go above 5,000 feet or to cruising altitude, then you would switch over to your alternators. But right now we're going to keep them on the AAPPs. It's kind of different, but it's apparently that's how it works. Bring in a pedestal with all of our fuel tanks. We're going to come down here. All these switches, every single one of these switches need to be pushed forward. So these right here are only if you have fuel tanks in your bomb bay doors. So since we don't have any fuel cells in the bomb bay, we're just going to leave them go. Also, we're going to turn on our autopilot. We're going to click on that. We're going to give it a few moments, and that should turn over from being dark to white. Anytime now. There it is. Also, We come over here then. I haven't got it to work yet, but supposedly you have to pull these out. And they should go dark. And then the AREs here, pull those out as well. And then you come over here and click these. And they should go out. Yep, right there they are. But these ones right here, I've seen videos and I've seen others where they pull it out and they go dark. But for me, they are not going dark. I don't know what it is. Also, I know I'm all over the place, but this is where your transponder is. So flip it to where you want it. We're going to come over here and turn off our master ignition. Really? We're pretty much set to go now. We'll come back over here. We're going to turn on these to taxi. We're on flash already. Now, there are a few things. I wish if you hovered over these, it would tell you what they are. I really wish it would do that. They would implemented that. But I'm not fussing about it. Not sure what these are. I know it says master switch on. Well, let's go in. We're going to throw in a couple nukes. Just for aesthetics. We're going to move our chocks. We're going to also close the crew door. Once you hear that close, you'll see how quiet it gets. Close the bomb bay doors. Gets a lot quieter now. Alright. Also, you have your blast shields. So when you drop your nukes, you can just, and if they're on the side so you don't get the flash, you can just, where's the other one? There it is. There. Close up those, and then all of a sudden you have all the visors, so you can bring them down. I mean, this thing has so many features. Let's get these out of the way. Alright. Windows are open now. Now, this one does have the howl. So let's go ahead and get her in the air. We're going to taxi to into that runway right over here. So we are right now at the one of the airports or the bases that this plane operated out of. And that is Koningsby? I'm probably completely butchering that, but it is in Great Britain. Koningsby, it starts with a C. So, but if anyone wants to correct me on how I'm saying that, please feel free to try to correct me. Let's go ahead and roll out. Disengage the brakes. We are moving. This is a very challenging plane. The plane, when landing this thing, it's not hard, but man, I mean, without having like your actual like HUD, it's very, very, very hard to gauge. She's a pretty big plane. But I will say this. European military, they love their Delta Wings. I mean, you have the Typhoon, that's a Delta Wing too, and the Ralphie. That's also a Delta Wing, but yeah. Apparently, Delta Wings are easier to maintain than swept wings like the U.S. Air Force, U.S. military uses. But, I mean, that's just what I've read. Can't read everything. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. All right. But like I said, I'm going to be using this on live stream, so this could be fun. This could be a fun plane, especially with no ILS. Oh boy, this thing will be interesting to land. All right. Ready to go. Full power. She lifts so beautifully. She glides very, very easily. The flight model on this thing is very, very nice. You can feel that she's heavy, but also you can feel that she can just glide. All right, pulling back on the power. These are still lit, so I don't know what's causing that. I'll have to do some further investigating. The iconic sound. Let's go ahead and open bomb bays. We're not going to use the tablet. We're going to use it the old-fashioned way. Open doors. Yeah, those aren't those are actually not nukes. I don't know why online said those were nukes. These are 1,000-pound bombs. Let's see if we can. Can we drop them? Trying to see if we can release. Yep, you can release them. All right, let's see if we can. We're gonna pull back on the power a little bit. We're gonna come back down to the tablet. So that is your nuke right there. All right, let's close the bomb bay. We're gonna put on the blue steel. So that is your rocket-propelled nuke. Let's see what happens. That's cool. That's really cool on how that works. So we can do a bomb run. She likes to trim up. I have to really modify that trim later on. But yeah, you have your strikes, which is you just attached missiles for defense reasons. I believe those are like your additional like lasers? I don't know. Sensors? Maybe fuel cells? No, I don't think they're fuel cells. So if you wanted to hit your autopilot, here's where you put your autopilot. All right. Yeah, I'm just going through and making sure everything's turned off. So there is, I believe there's a parachute on this thing. I just can't figure out where it's at. I thought there was a parachute on when it lands. Fuel gauge or fuel in pounds, yeah. Look at the wind farms. I didn't even realize there's so many wind farms out here. Out in the water. I believe those are your like your speed brakes. Yeah, those are your speed brakes. Those are definitely some weird speed brakes. I kind of weirded by those. But yeah, she's a great plane. Highly recommend it for anyone that wants to add another plane to their arsenal. It's very recommended. $32.99 is what the price of this is on flight, JustFlight. So, like I said, $32.99 on JustFlight. Highly recommended. The Howl. The Howl is legendary. But yeah. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed it. This plane has been a challenge to learn because it's just, there is so many things to this plane. There's probably even more. So we're right now, I don't even know what altitude we are at right now, but let's say just for reason's sake, come up here. And we'll hit that while I'll be on these alternators. Pardon me. Ration heater? Oh, interesting. There's a lot of interesting things. Oh, that's right. We can do it from here. Just got a huge wingspan, about 110 feet, I believe. Wingspan of 111 feet, length of 105 feet. Has a crew of 5. But, alright, well, that's it for today. I hope everyone enjoyed the showcase of this new aircraft. I highly recommend it. It's worth it, especially for something so iconic. And I am hoping to have this in one of my live streams down the road. So don't forget to subscribe so you can get those notifications when I go live. So until next time, everybody, have a great one. Later.